Harmonic voice leading is a concept used in jazz to create melodic walking bass lines over chord changes. Contrary to popular belief, your walking bass line should provide a counter melody to the song you're playing over, while at the same time provide a foundational accompaniment against the changes. Playing bass lines are akin to playing rhythm guitar or a piano player comping chords behind a soloist. I often tell my students that as bass players, we're basically required to do two things: play accompanying bass lines and occasionally take a solo. A great way to practice voice leading is by using a common melodic resolution consisting of 7 resolving to the third. As a harmonic vehicle, we're going to take dominant 7th chords moving through the cycle of fourths, where each chord's going to last for 1 bar. The line I'm going to show you is really simple. It just consists of the 3rd, 5th root to the 7, and then it's going to go to the 3rd, 5th root to the 7 of each successive chord. So if we took a C7 chord, and then we use that line, 3, 5, root, 7, or more specifically, 3, 5, root, and over this chord it's a flat 7. So you can use this melodic contour on any chord, but it's quite common to get these progressions where I'm going like through the cycle of fourths, all dominant 7th chords. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this line and we're going to use it in our walking bass line. So there's only 4 notes in the line, and then each time we move to the new chord, it's going to create that natural voice leading by a half step between the flat 7 and the 3. So it's going to go like this. Now notice in the first version, I'm playing the 3rd up to the 5th, down to the root, then down to the flat 7. And then in the second one, I'm changing directions. I go 3 to the 5th, then up to the root, and then down to the 7, and then I'm back. And then that creates this nice little 2-string pattern. Now the thing about these type of patterns on the bass, and this is where you've really got to understand what the notes are and the note function, which is basically how the notes relate to the chord you're playing over, because once I get to a certain point with that, I'm going to run out of fretboard, you know. So this is like super important to kind of get while you're learning this. So you need kind of different directions. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this when you're moving around. So that's one way, but I can also do something like this, where I just continue that pattern going down. So it goes, and then maybe here, do you see how that works? So you need to really adapt this across the fretboard to really make it work. So you want to experiment with how that goes. So have a try with that. It's also important to notice that you can have a couple of different fingerings. Now we already looked at that, those produced fingerings of their own, where I'm going like that, and then in position, I'm moving, in position, etc. Or going down, where I just go down. But if I start, both of those are starting with my index finger on the 3rd. So if I take another one where I'm starting the index finger on the 3rd finger, so I start on C and I go like this. And that produces a nice little 3-string grouping of these things. Now, what you really need to do is you need to experiment with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this in context now over a fast jazz groove so you can see how it will sound in context. You'll hear that it really sounds melodic, and because I'm using these different fingerings and these different directions on my fretboard and I'm mixing it up, it sounds really cool, just playing the same idea. That's the power of these 4-note melodic cells. Remember, I've got another video on the 4-note melodic cells. You can click on that right here. But it's the power of this, and it doesn't just mean that you use these in your solos. You can use these across the board. Remember what I said? We get called to play bass lines and occasionally to play a solo. So you've got to be able to apply everything you're learning musically to both of those things. So being aware of this is going to help you to break out of playing by patterns alone and start to open up the fingerboard. So just by experimenting with this simple idea across your fretboard, we can easily improvise using these specific patterns. Okay, it's going to sound like this in context. As always, I can't overstate the importance of knowing the notes that are under your fingers and how those notes relate back to the chord you're playing over. Please, whatever you do, don't listen to the litany of bozos across the internet that are telling you that knowing your notes and note function aren't that important. What you need to understand is how the lines you're playing really fit into this three-dimensional framework in a musical context, where you learn how to merge patterns, note names, and note function into one stream of consciousness. This is your last chance to sign up for my new interactive beginners course, as the doors are going to close on August the 1st. There's only 2 places left, so if you really want to get on this course, click the link in the description box below. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on the other side. Until next time, practice smart, work hard, and play creatively.